Alright, so I've also been asked how I do shim jobs, whatever, and I guess I can show you real quick. You basically want to start with your spur gear, take everything out, no shims, no nothing. Put it in there all by itself, close it up, and then you want to either get a very small screw or something. Use your fingers, use whatever you can. I need a smaller one. Just whatever you can to see how much give the gear has, up and down, how much it wiggles, whatever. Depending on how much it goes up and down, whatever way, that's how you know where to put a shim and how many shims. So I'm using the screwdriver to just basically move it up and down. You can also, if the gear bar sticks out of the gearbox, you can also just use your fingers to push it back and forth. So once you know the give, now you know how many shims you need. So I'm going to go ahead and put one on the bottom. It needs one on the bottom, and you've got various size shims. I'm just going with the smallest one for now, and I can go up in increments after that. Once again, just see how much give it has, and this one's good. Now from your spur gear, you're going to move to your sector gear. Leave your spur gear in, just put your sector gear in with it, close it up. You're going to do the same thing for this. Make sure it's closed and make sure it's tight, because depending on how tight your gearbox is when you put it back together, that will affect the gears. So that one's got a little give, and it needs I'm going to put a 0.2 on the top because it's moving, it moves up. So, and it's still got a little bit of give. So I'm going to put one more 0.1 on the top there. Close her back up, and just keep doing the same thing. See how much it moves. See how much it goes up and down. Side to side would be pretty bad. Make sure you have the right bushings or bearings. And last but not least, your bevel gear. Same exact thing here. Put it in, close it up, nothing else, no shims, no nothing. For the FN, it's a little hard to get in there, so I basically it's sticking out on both sides, and that's how I figured out how much it moves. And this is moving from both sides, so I'm going to put a shim on the bottom to start with. I'm using a wide 0.1. I need more shims. Alright, so I've got more shims, and I just use some classic Army shims, variation shims that I get from my local supplier, Airsoft Reloaded. Good stuff, nice cheap shims. When I say cheap, I don't mean quality, I mean price, which is good. So you want to make sure you have some shims on hand so you don't try scraping up some off the ground or something. So go ahead and set your bevel gear in, put the top back on, and guess what? Yep, repeat the steps we did earlier. Find you something to move it a little bit.
Alright, so no more wobble in there.
Figure it out, take it out.
You also want to make sure that
now what you want to do is get away to move the sector gear, and you want to basically rotate the entire gear set.
Alright.
Make sure it's not too hard.
Lock it up.
Make sure none of them wobbles, makes a lot of noise, that kind of stuff.
That's a quick way.
Now that you've got all that in, you're going to want to put it all back together. You want to make sure you have a good seal on your piston and cylinder head. Set that in. I'm already going to have to put another shim on there because I lost it. But you want to make sure you've got both springs where they need to be. Make sure they're attached. You've got two different springs there. And yeah, lost the shim and the spring. Gonna have to put another shim on there. I just can't keep track of things sometimes. So you want to make sure you've got the trigger contact spring on. Once you have that, go ahead and put your cylinder and all that good stuff in, and then put the bigger spring on the plate, whatever you want to call it. And then once that's done, you're gonna proceed to put your motor in. Motor's a little weird, so you sometimes have to put it in bottom first. And then your evil ass anti-reversal latch, make sure you have the spring. Put your bevel gear in, and then your piston spring. You want to make sure you remember the little trigger contact too, make sure it's actually contacting, and your spring guide. You want to make sure you hold down the anti-reversal latch with a small screwdriver or something, because that thing likes to pop out. And there we go. 1, 2, 3. Your 3 small ones on top. Then the rest, the 7 long ones. Six, whatever. Tighten those down. So once you have everything screwed in, you're going to want to get your little trigger bar thing, put that back in with the spring that I lost, but don't worry about it, you don't really need it. The good news is, earlier today I did find the spring miraculously in my carpet, so I put that back in there. But it did fire fine without it. The trigger just wasn't as crisp. So now it's time to proceed with putting the gun back together, which you're basically just gonna do everything you did backwards to put it back together. Make sure you put your motor contacts back on the right way. So once those are in, it'll basically just snap in. You're gonna screw down your 2 little screws that hold that down, your trigger bar thing, and then your trigger assembly with the spring, your safety selector gear thing, the safety itself, and the trigger. Make sure that spring is touching the bar, and now you can get your other half. Here you have the spring for your mag release, and then just flip it over, set it down, and use your screwdriver to make sure the hop-up is lined up. Set it all down, and then screw everything back in. Make sure you have your 2 long ones in back, and then the short ones on the right under the, or right above, right behind the trigger and in the front. You don't want to strip out any of these, which would suck. So once you got all those screwed in, you're going to bring in your little hand guard, put that in, smash the pin back in, and now you're ready for the hop-up cover. Same thing for that. And this is basically when my camera died, so you get the gist. It's pretty much done. All you have to do now is slap on the upper receiver and you'll be done. Ta-da! Oh, and the butt plate. So, good to go. Thanks for watching. If you watched it this long, I'm surprised. Thanks. That's pretty much it. I'll have some news and some videos, hopefully from a DV8 3-day event game tomorrow, starting tomorrow, heading up to Tampa for that. I also have a review of my Brava RDW and the chronograph results of pretty much all my guns. So, thanks for watching, and make sure you keep tuned in for all the good stuff.